Have a nice day, students. I am Mrs. K. Jayalakshmi Suresh from O. Mohan Raj Matriculation School, Manembadi. I am a social science teacher. Now, today, I am going to take Unit 1 from the Volume 1, Outbreak of World War I and its Aftermath. Aftermath means its results, repercussions, what happened after the First World War. Okay, shall we go into the lesson? That began in 1789 culminated in the First World War that broke out in that year and decisively shaped the course of the 20th century. So from 1914 till 1950, there is a lot of changes that occurred in world history. It changed its political, social, economic, military, all the process, everything changed. The whole world history was turned up and down. It totally changed everything. What happened, that is, after the American Revolution, after the French Revolution, totally it was ended, culminated into the First World War. So, historians therefore call this as a long 19th century. This was the first industrial war that drew on the economic resources of the entire world and also affected large section of the civilian population. The war, the changes that took place in industrial revolution in economical resources that has a main source and it leads to the military changes, it leads to the political changes. So entire world was changed because of industrial revolution. The political map of the world was redrawn. That is, there was a change. Three major empires lay shattered by the end of the war. That is, 1914 till 1918 First World War. After the 1918, there was a three important countries in European nation that was shattered. That was made into pieces. They were Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Ottoman. That is Turkey. The biggest outcome of the war was Russian Revolution. So after this, we will see in 1917, there was a great revolution that took place in Russia, which resulted to bring the changes all over the world. It was a unique event as well as the first revolution of its kind in the world history, that is Russian Revolution. For the first time, countries tried to bring about world peace through the League of Nations. So after the First World War, all the countries who have engaged in the war, those who are defeated, those who are won, everybody realized that there should be something, an organization which can bring the pieces without having war. So that led to the birth of League of Nations. So particularly in this lesson, we discuss the circumstances leading to the outbreak of First World War and its repercussions. Repercussions means its results, its effects, including Russian Revolution and formation of an international peace organization, that is League of Nations. Students, before entering into the main lesson, just have a look at the map. It's a European map. The countries: United Kingdom, that is England, Britain. Then you have France, Belgium, Germany, Italy. These are the main places you have to keep it in your mind, which were engaged in World War. So they are the European main countries. You can go through that map. It is United Kingdom, France, Belgium, Germany, and Italy. Then we have small places nearby Italy, Hungary, Austria, Hungary. These are the important places: Germany, Austria, Hungary, Italy, France, Belgium. Between Germany and France, we have a small place called Belgium, and United Kingdom, that's an island which is also known as Britain, which we call as Britain. So these are the places which is very important. So shall we go to the lesson? Now let's go to the lesson. Scramble for Colonies 1.1. Scramble means attempt to get something forcibly or quickly. Okay, let's see what actually they are going to get quickly. Colonies, you will be knowing that a country ruled by some other country. Example, India is a colony for Britain. Okay. Okay, now capitalistic countries race for markets. I already said that England, France, Belgium, Germany, Italy, in European countries, they are the capitalistic country which had more investment in the industry. Okay, children. Now see the line. The aim of capitalistic industry was to produce more and more. The surplus wealth thus produced was used to build more factories, railways, steamships, and other such undertakings. Revolution in the means of communication and transportation in the later half of the 19th century facilitated the process of European expansion in Africa and other places. So, because of industrial revolution, there was a lot more production. More production means more wealth, more income, and again that is reinvested again in many factories, railways, steam ships, and this included more advancement in communication transportations. So, in the process that European expansion, it ended in the expansion Africa and other places too. So what happened because of this capitalism? This capitalism, that is some countries being rich and exploiting their colonies. What happened? So that we will see in the next paragraph. Now we'll move to the next paragraph. Now look at the next paragraph. Capitalism produced huge contrast. Contrast means opposites. The contrasts were extreme poverty and extreme wealth, slum and skyscraper, empire state and dependent exploited colony. So one side is poverty and another side is wealthy countries. One side we can see the slum areas, other skyscrapers, the building is touching the sky. One side the dominate country, another side is exploited colonies. A striking feature of 19th century was that Europe emerged as the dominant power while Asia and Africa were colonized and exploited. So these European countries which we have seen in the map, they were the dominant powers and remaining places of Asia and Africa were exploited for their benefit. And within these European countries, England, that is, I said no, UK, United Kingdom, held a preeminent position as the world leader of capitalism. An ever growing demand for the markets and raw materials made the capitalistic powers race around the world for expanding their empire for exploitation. So, their need for the market, need for the market, need for the market, and raw materials, they want more. Whatever they produced, for that they need market. To produce in the industries, they want raw materials. So, for both the purpose, they had to have more and more colonies that is running behind the colonies, that is scramble for colonies. Okay, children, have you understood? Okay, let's go to the next topic. Children, our next topic is rise of monopoly capitalism. Monopoly means having control of one country. Mono means single, poly means control. That is, every country try to have control, only they want to control some places. How this happens? Let's see. After 1870, the alliance of industry and finance seeking profits in markets for goods and capital, which was the essential characteristic of imperialism, became evident in the later half of the 19th century. The old ideas of free trade collapsed. There were trusts in USA and cartels in Germany. These powerful combines and corporations dominated governments. So what happened? So when they started entering into other countries for the trade, it was a free trade. That is, they can import something and they can export something, buy something and sell something. But what happened afterwards? They want to control the trade. Only they have to trade with that particular country, and they have to decide what is the rate, what is the price. So they started trust and cartels, that some organizations. So we can see the trust in USA, and the same trust means associations in Germany. A trust is an industrial organization engaged in the production or distribution of any commodity. The trust should possess adequate control over the supply and the price of that commodity to its own advantage. So, whatever they produce, what they are producing, how much they are producing, what must be the cost, where it has to be distributed, everything will be decided by the trust. It is for having monopoly. That's the main thing, reason behind this trust. Okay, children. Okay, let's go to the next. How a trust in USA in the same way cartel in Germany. Okay. The term cartel refers to an association based upon a contractual agreement between enterprises in the same field of business. So whoever is doing maybe take example textile means they have contractual agreement among them that they have to sell that commodity in the same rate. Okay. The objective was to exercise monopolistic influence on the market so they can have a control over the market. Let's go to the important point, imperialism and its essential characteristics. Capitalism inevitably led to imperialism. So first the country started industrial revolution. They had more industries, more production. So more production, they want market for that. For that they want some places, so they went to the places to sell. Then afterwards they want raw materials. After getting the raw materials, what happened? There was a competition between them. So to compete with each other, they want to control that places. So obviously, inevitably, this capitalism led to imperialism, control over other countries. According to Lenin, it's a great leader of Russia. Imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism. Besides being a market for surplus goods, colonies served another purpose. Large scale mass production needed vast supplies of raw materials. So they need raw materials. They need raw materials like rubber, oil, nitrate, sugar, cotton, tropical foodstuffs, and minerals. So what happened? Not only they were selling the products in the colonies, but now colonies became suppliers of raw materials for them, which were necessary to monopoly capitalistic everywhere. So the country started monopolying, having control over that places. The need to control the sources of raw materials inevitably led to capitalism. Inevitable means which cannot be avoided. Imperialism was not just about colonies. It became a total system, the logic of which was total militarization and total war. So first it started imperialism, colonies, control over the raw materials was their main purpose. Afterwards it became about control over the politics, and lastly over all military was under their control, and they started fighting among themselves. Capitalistic country started fighting among themselves, which ended in World War. Scramble for colonies, I think you have understood, which led to imperialism. Now, this imperialism led to rivalry of great powers. Okay, rivalry means enmity between them. Europe in the 19th century, that is from 1800 to 1900, European powers are colonized many other countries. By 1880, most of Asian countries had, that is, most of Asian countries, almost all the Asian countries had been colonized. Only Africa was left. The occupation, the division, colonization of Africa took place from 1881 to 1914. So even that countries, that is African countries, too were colonized. The industrial achievements of Germany in the later half of 19th century, that is from 1850 to 1900, gave her a dominating position in Europe. But when Germany came scene, The avenues of exploitations were limited as the world was largely occupied by the other imperialistic powers. So by 1850, France, Britain, Belgium, Portugal, Spain, Denmark, USA, they had exploited and they are colonized places. Now, when Germany came into the scene, there was no place for them to expand. So what happens? Let's see, as there was nowhere to expand, the imperialistic powers try to grab others' position. So when there is no place to exploit, they started to grab others' places. That is, if India's, for example, if you take India itself, Goa, Diu, Daman, which are French occupations, Portuguese occupations. Pondicherry was French occupation. So for Pondicherry, both Britain and French, they were fighting to get that position. The same way, Africa also many places they were in Germany and England. They were fighting among themselves. France and Germany they were fighting among themselves to get the position of one's places. After 1870, England, France, Belgium, Italy, and Germany joined in the scramble for colonies. That is, they started to take some others, they started to have control of other colonies. Clashes amongst the great powers. Despite the lead in industrial growth and control of a vast empire, England was not satisfied. So England was the first country to have a lot of colonies, but it was not satisfied. England was in competition with the Germany and United States of America, which were producing cheaper manufactured goods and thus capturing England's markets. So when cheaper goods, more markets. So obviously England's markets were going to rush Germany and United States. So England has to do something. National rivalry led to the frequent clashes between these great powers in Asia and Africa as well as in Europe. The imperialistic urge of the period is best illustrated by the following statement of Cecil Rhodes, the imperialistic Prime Minister of South Africa. How much people want colonies, their urge, their inner motive, their what you call their passion was such a that it was said in beautiful words. Where shall we see what he said? The world was nearly all parceled out and with what there is left of it was being divided up, conquered, and colonized. To think of these stars that you see overhead at night, these vast worlds which we can never reach. I would annex the planets if I could. I often think of that. It makes me sad to see that they are so clear and yet so far. Now, to say that everything was divided up, all the places were conquered, all the places called, nothing is left because only the sky and the stars. That's what he says. So, that much places, that is, the whole world was made into pieces, and some capitalistic countries were controlling all other places, especially Africa and Asian countries. Okay, children. So, this is a rivalry among the great powers for raw materials for markets. Okay, let's go to the next important topic about the rise of Japan. Do you know where is Japan? Japan is towards the end, towards your east place, towards the east end part, Japan. It's in the Pacific Ocean, it's an island. Okay, children, after China, we'll have Japan. Okay, in Asia, Japan during the period from 1867 to 1912, imitating the Western nations, had become their equal in many respects. So Japan was a very tiny, very small island, but it imitated, it copied whatever happened, whatever industrial revolution that took place in Western nation, that is European nations, and it also started doing that all over things. Though the outlook of rulers still remained feudal, Japan took to the Western education and machinery. With a modern army and navy, Japan had emerged as an advanced industrial power. So, because of Western education, machinery, they had a very good army and navy. Equally, they also gave a tough competition with Western countries like Europe. In imperialistic aggressions, also Japan followed, same as in Europe. Okay, children, before going to the next topic, just have a look into the map. It's a East Asia map where you can see China, Mongolia, Russia, Japan. See how small is Japan, and nearby Japan towards the west of Japan you have, that is east of China, you have South Korea, North Korea. There you have a place called Dalian, that's a Port Arthur, which is very very important, for which China also had a war with Japan. Even Russia too had a war with Japan. Okay, children. So China, Russia, Japan. It is in Southeast Asia. Okay. Now both the map you have to look. That is, first we have seen European countries. Now it is East Asian countries. Okay. Next topic, strong arm diplomacy of Japan. Diplomacy, that's an important word. How diplomatically Japan thought to have control over East Asia. Okay. After 1905, Japan took control of Korean domestic and foreign policies. The assassination of a prominent Japanese diplomat provided an excuse in 1910 for Japan's annexation of Korea. So it took an excuse that because Koreans were the main reason for the assassination of the diplomat, so Japan annexed Korea. The confusion in China following the downfall of Manchu dynasty in 1912 provided Japan an opportunity to further expansion. So they entered Korea, then they entered the China because there was no powerful ruler after the Manchu dynasty. Japan now demanded not only the transfer of German rights in Shantung to Japan and the recognition of Japanese hold over Manchuria, but also the appointment of Japanese advisors to the Chinese government. So after entering into the China, they want to control over Shantung, very important harbor, which you can see in the map. That's in China. Okay. And they even wanted to control Manchuria, but also they want to appoint their advisors in Chinese government. So indirectly they want to control China. This is what we call diplomacy. What you call Rajatandiram in Tamil, that is diplomacy. Okay. This strong arm diplomacy aroused the hostility of both China and the European powers. Now, Japan became the sandwich between China and European countries because it has made Russia as its enemy, Germany as its enemy. Now, China also became its enemy. So, it became a crucial point now for the Japan. Okay, children, let's go to the next topic, colonization and its fallout. In 1876, barely only 10% of Africa was under European rule. Only 10%. By 1900, practically the whole Africa was colonized. Britain, France, and Belgium. So nearly within 24 years, all Africa was colonized by these European countries, especially Britain, France, and Belgium, and divided the continent between them, leaving a few areas for Germany and Italy. Britain, France, Russia, and Germany also established their spheres of influence in China. That is, they did not control China directly, but some places were under their influence. That is, what they thought that only will be practiced over there. Okay, that is indirect control. Japan took over Korea and Taiwan in the east. France conquered Indochina. That what you can see there. We have no Cambodia, then we have Laos, that places, that is after Burma places, that is Indochina. And the US took over Philippines from Spain, and Britain and Russia agreed to partition Iran. That all the places from Asia and Africa, all the places were under their control. The first European attempts to carve out colonies in Africa resulted in bloody battles. So Asia was easily undertook by these places. these European countries. But Africa was not so easy for them because it was such a struggle between the native people of Africans before they became the colonies. Okay, the French had to fight a long and a bitter war to conquer Algeria and Senegal. These places in northwestern part of Africa. Okay, children. And the British lost to Zulus, one of the tribe, and the Sudanese army, that's a place in Africa. And Italian army suffered a devastating, that's a very what you call destroyful defeat at the hands of an Ethiopian army at Andawa. It's in East Africa. Ethiopia, that is near, if you Egypt, below Egypt, if you come there, you have Ethiopia. There it was divided. Italy army was suffered a defeat. So Africa was not so easily became the colony. They had a bloody battles with its countries, European countries in Africa before becoming colony. Okay. So this was a colonial races in Africa and Asia, which we have seen. So let's see how these races ended and how it resulted in the resulted how it was resulted towards the World War. Okay, let's stop it today and we'll continue next in our next class. Thank you.